Fearless Disease.
Donald Trump has gone on his Truth Social platform to talk about Rob Reiner. Now, I interviewed Rob Reiner on this show 3 months ago. And aside from what he just said about Charlie Kirk, as we just heard, which was, I thought, extraordinarily gracious, given he politically disagreed with almost everything Charlie Kirk stood for. Notwithstanding that, Rob Reiner just got brutally murdered, along with his wife, it appears, by their son, who's had many years of battling drug addiction and homelessness, and appears to have gone crazy and stabbed them both to death in the most barbaric of circumstances. Is now under arrest.
Fearless Disease fam, today we uncovered the truth they hate to hear. Like right now, if you are ready, first I want to send the condolences, of course, to Mr. and Mrs. Reiner. That was a sad story. It's come to find out that their son actually committed that heinous crime, which is very sad. He was on drugs and no telling what was going through his mind, but condolences to them. Second, we're going to talk about, of course, Piers Morgan. He blasted Trump for unhinged comments on Rob Reiner's murder. This panel, they're going to debate about it. There's a few pieces that I already know I'm not going to agree with, but we're going to get into it. We're going to deep dive into this review right here, because I want to hear what Mr. Morgan has to say and his colleagues.
Rest with a $4 million bail. Donald Trump has just posted this. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. You know, I got to say, Cenk, that just crosses every line of just basic human decency.
I don't think it crosses none lines. I mean, not like how he said it, but he did tell the truth about when he was living on what he did. He did not like Trump at all. Mr. Reiner could not stand Mr. Trump. He would go on rants about it. You can look it up yourself. I'm not going to put it up on here, but you can find countless interviews and speeches where he would spit hatred about Trump. And he would talk about democracy and how Trump is destroying America. So he really did have the, what we call, quote unquote, Trump deranged syndrome. He really did. But he did say his condolences. But there was not a lot of backlash the same way when everybody was talking about Charlie Kirk. And I know Mr. Morgan has spoke about this, but he's not going this hard in the paint when it comes to when Charlie was being talked about when he got, of course, viciously murdered in front of his family. So he's not going to have the same type of disdain for Trump for this one. I know he's not. But let's go ahead and hear what he got to say.
To me, Rob Reiner was murdered last night by his troubled, unhinged son. And to make political capital, and what angers me about it is there was all the outrage from Trump supporters, rightly, when the left mocked Charlie Kirk after he was murdered. And I thought we'd reached a kind of consensus that this, whatever side of the divide you're on, this is just unacceptable. That when people get murdered, you just show basic respect. And it's just happened as we came on air. And I just thought we've got to start with this, because when you're the most powerful man in the world, listen, everyone knows I've known Trump a long time, but this is one of those times when.
This is funny because he has the Young Turks on here, as you see, and he has, of course, Roland or big guy Martin. You know who he is. He didn't like Kirk either. So I'm really interested to see and hear what they have to say about the situation.
Many times he's been like this when big public figures have died. I remember it with John McCain. I remember it with Colin Powell. And each time I just wince at the lack of basic decency. What is your reaction to that?
Well, you saw that I came on here and I was brokenhearted when Charlie Kirk was killed. And I condemned the people celebrating it because, my God, if you're part of the peace movement, you're on the left, etc. We're supposed to.
I got to look and see if he actually did feel that type of way. He might have went on Morgan's show and actually talked about it and been sad about it. But hey, take that with 2 grains of salt.
Be for nonviolence more than anybody else. So, and that was disappointing at that time. And then Donald Trump, among others, said it was the most outrageous thing they'd ever seen. For him to do it now to Rob Reiner, I mean, and for what? For what? I mean, did this guy advocate for some heinous thing? Not at all. And here's what I want people to understand about Rob Reiner. So he was.
No, he didn't. See, this is where they got things messed up. See, when you go on rants and go on different interviews and speeches and you talk so badly about the president of the United States, what that does is it ignites mentally challenged people. I would like to say that. Can't say the R word, but ignites mentally challenged people to believe what this person is saying. Said he's trying to destroy democracy. He's trying to destroy America, and Trump was not doing that. But when you tell the people that, it engages other people. So he didn't do anything physically, but you understand how the mentality of that type of person is. If they hear that, oh, this president is destroying democracy, they'll automatically want to tear down a president of the United States of America. See, these are the type of games that side really does. The liberals, they play these type of games thinking that their words don't mean things. That's the problem.
Obviously, an enormous figure in Hollywood. Some of the movies that we all love, like Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, etc., right? But on top of that, here's something that no one could argue with. Rob Reiner was a true American patriot. He loved this country. Now, whether you agreed with him or disagreed with him on any issue, he's a guy who put his heart into this country and always tried to make it better. You could see patriots like that, whether they're on the right or the left, who deeply care about their fellow man. And Rob Reiner was definitely one of those people. He was the best of us. And to die in such a tragic...
That's a lie. I'm not saying that it's a lie where he's the best of us. He's a director. He's an actor. If you think he's the best of you when he's being an actor and director, why wouldn't you think that the president wouldn't be the best of us, that the American people chose him to be a president? This is the games that they play. This is the emotional side where they'll think that if anybody passes away, and of course condolences to them, and it's very sad. I wouldn't want anybody around me to even go out like that. It was horrible. But you can't always put a light to everybody that passed away and say that they always wanted this and wanted that. Even if the person that you don't like your president or something that you don't agree with, you don't go on multiple broadcasts and talk about them the way that he did. So I'm not condoning what Trump did, but I can understand why he suffered from Trump syndrome, deranged syndrome.
Way. And then to have the president of the United States rub it in and somehow make it about himself. Look, I could get angry at Donald Trump.
Again, he didn't make it about himself. Reiner made it about Trump. He always made it about Trump. Always. Continuously all the time made it about Trump. Don't do that. Stop letting these people play around with you. They're playing mental warfare. They're trying to pull on the strings of your feelings and not realizing what people do.
Trump, we've all been angry at Donald Trump. But if you're on the right, more than anything else, you should just be deeply disappointed. Is this what you wanted? Is this the ha-ha, you're dead kind of mentality that you wanted? It sounded like after...
He never said ha-ha, you're dead mentality. You're making up things. He never did that. He said what he did when he was here, and he said he gave his condolences. He didn't say, ha ha, he glad Reiner is gone. Stop letting them play with your feelings.
After Charlie died, that you really, really didn't want that you thought it was a terrible thing to do.
Well,
so
that's the
excuses.
Point. Yeah, look, that's the point, Gillian, that I would make, is it's going to be very interesting to me what people on the conservative right in America say by way of their reaction to what Donald Trump has said here. Because if there's any support for this from MAGA, from his supporters, his friends, from anyone, then it flies completely in the face of that whole debate after Charlie Kirk, when so many on the left behaved disgustingly. You know, I remember calling it out at the time. And then here, you know, the idea that he was murdered because of something to do with his views of Donald Trump, which is complete nonsense. You know, it's. I'm not just disappointed. I'm angry.
See, this is. He never said he was murdered because of his pushback from him. He never said that, but it makes you feel like he said that. I'm gonna keep saying it's a feelings of mental warfare. He never in that tweet said, I think Reiner passed away because he was angry at me, Mr. Trump. He wasn't. He never said that. All he said was he suffered from Trump deranged syndrome. Y'all have to stop, man. This is bad. Y'all got to stop that.
Agree with
agree.
it, you know?
I completely agree with you and Cenk here. I will say that when I woke up and learned about this, it was on Brandon Tatum's Instagram, and he actually showed the clip of you talking to
Right.
Rob Reiner. So my hope is that any reasonable person on the right or the left finds political violence disgusting, any support of it disgusting, and I'm with both you and Cenk. There's zero pushback over here. I'm extremely disappointed in the way Trump
I mean, it's not
handled
even,
this.
you know, there's not even a suggestion it's political.
Nobody want to hear what you got to say, woman. You going with the crowd because the crowd's around you right now. Nobody care what you got to say. The way they're pulling your feelings, you're brought into it, and you want to act like you're the good person on the other side. Like, oh, I'm not with it. I'm not with what Trump is saying. Man, we want to hear what you got to say.
Violence in this case, right? We don't know why the son did this.
Well,
other than,
either way, if Trump was trying to imply that it was because of Trump derangement syndrome,
Right.
any violence of any kind
I don't think
is
he was.
reprehensible. I'm not quite sure exactly what he was trying to imply, but I'm disappointed by his response. I have yet to see anybody on the right endorse that statement or celebrate the death of Rob Reiner. I certainly hope we don't, and I promise you that I would absolutely condemn anybody who does that.
Right. I mean,
I'm
let me
with you
bring
guys.
Wajah in. I want to play a clip. This is another clip from the interview I did with him. I spoke to him for 45 minutes, literally in
Watch you pull up
mid-September.
all the good flicks.
It was a great interview, and I was
yeah,
very
great.
struck
Yeah,
actually
watch you gonna pull up
by the more
every good one.
mollifying
Watch
tone
this.
that he took throughout this interview about Trump, who he has been very critical of in the past. There's no question. He's ranted away about Trump like many in Hollywood have done. But in that interview, he struck a very different tone. And here's him talking about Trump and the fact the left kept calling him Hitler. Senator Ted Cruz has come out and said that people should stop using the Nazi rhetoric. And I feel very strongly about this. I think that you can absolutely go after Donald Trump in an aggressive way, but calling him Hitler or calling his supporters Nazis, I think crosses every acceptable line.
It doesn't get you where you want to be. I don't really know very many things that I agree with him on, but I also feel that if you go name calling like that, it's not going to get you what you want. You have to rally people around the things that you agree with that are in disagreement with Donald Trump. And to me, the one area that, again, we both agree on is the freedom of speech and in the Constitution, First Amendment.
You know, there's an irony there with.
Okay. I may have to go back and watch the segment again. There was a lot of edits, so I always can't take that 100%, especially with Morgan. He flip-flops so much. But if he did say that, salute to him. Salute Mr. Reiner for actually saying that. You shouldn't be able to call the president a Hitler. And he condemned people for saying that. But as you see, look at Roland Martin's eyes. It's a crazy dude right there, man. You see his eyes? He's a crazy guy. Crazy. Let's continue.
About the name calling, because I don't know what Donald Trump thinks he'll achieve with this rant about Rob Reiner, as his body is still warm from this brutal murder. But whatever he thinks it will achieve, it will only, I think, anger and disappoint a lot of Americans, if not all Americans. And I just don't understand why he would use his gigantic platform so soon after someone is murdered to do this.
The harsh truth is this is who Donald Trump is. This is who he has always been. He's been cruel. He's been vulgar. He's lacked empathy. I mean, you just saw this right now. I'm glad you brought it up because I read it right before I came on your show. Rob Reiner and his wife, it seems that they were brutally and tragically murdered by their son, who apparently had mental health issues and drug problems. He was a beloved director. And you're seeing Donald Trump right now, who is the president of the United States, folks. He's the commander in chief. He's the representative of our country. And you just hope any president, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter, what they say is this is a terrible tragedy, thoughts and prayers. Simple as that. But we've seen Donald Trump just even recently with Erica Kirk. I was on your show and we all praised, it was a consensus amongst the panel that when she forgave the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, we all said that was very brave and a beautiful thing to do at the Arizona rally. What did Donald Trump do right after she said it? He goes, I don't forgive. I'm not as forgiving. Like, why would you say that? And then also after you survived the assassination.
I'm on both sides. We're here. We're honest and we're fearless over here. So I never 100% condone anything of any man on earth, and that's one thing they are correct about that. Trump should be able to forgive everyone, and he was wrong for saying that 100%. You saying that you don't forgive everyone, that's what God wants us to do, is forgive, and he claims to this praise to God, and you're supposed to be forgive. So I'm on his side on that one. He is correct. That was wrong for him to say that when Miss Kirk stood up and said she forgives everybody and Trump couldn't. So that's not a good thing.
Assassination attempt, if you remember at the RNC, Piers, he had that patch on his ear. They gave him a script. He was supposed to be decent, kind, meditative for the first 20 minutes. And then he mocked and ridiculed Paul Pelosi, who survived an assassination attempt by David DePape. So this is who he is. And Piers, if I may say, he's been like this for 10 years. I've been saying it. Cenk's been saying it. Roland's been saying it. For everyone waking up today, where you been? This is who he is.
Well, where I've been, I've always called it out when he's done it after people die. I think there's a particularly distasteful aspect, and I'll bring Emily in here. When people have just been murdered, whether it's Charlie Kirk, whether it's Rob Reiner, it doesn't matter to me what their politics are. When they've been brutally murdered, the only decent, civilized, human thing to do is to just be respectful or do nothing. If your genuine feeling is what he's just ranted, well, don't say it.
Right. I feel like as the president of the United States, he does not, with all due respect, have any obligation to need to tweet about Rob Reiner. I feel like he has, other things going on, and that's reasonable. If I were in Trump's inner circle, would I had told him to post this? Probably not. I'd suggest strongly for him to just not say anything at all. The first I'm ever hearing of Rob Reiner is that he has Trump derangement syndrome, and that still doesn't change any of my empathy towards him. I didn't know who he was. I'm hearing now he was talented. In fact, one of the first impressions I've had of him was Donald Trump's tweet. But I really think we're doing a disservice by drawing parallels from this to political violence, even bringing up Charlie Kirk's murder. I get why you brought it up, Piers, because you're saying, well, if you don't like how the left celebrated his death, don't celebrate this. But nobody's celebrating Rob Reiner's death. I hope, as Jillian said,
it sounds like Donald Trump is getting. Yeah, but look, it does sound like he's getting. I don't think
so.
It's all about he always cuts off. See, he didn't cut off when the other gentleman that spoke. The I think Indian descent of him and the Young Turks. He didn't cut them off. But as soon as he hears something that he doesn't like, and he wants to go in, he always cuts them off. Morgan moves like a woman. If he doesn't like something, he doesn't let people talk. If he likes it, he always lets people talk. He's that type of interviewer. That's why he's losing a lot of respect.
Getting pretty close to it. I mean, when he says that, he got killed reportedly due to the anger he caused.
You heard it. Is looking like he said that. He never said that. It's the feelings. Like I said, I'm not condone everything that he does. He does some wrong things, but he didn't condone what he said. He didn't say he was happy, but this makes them feel like he said it. Feelings take over, man. Feelings take over on that side.
Caused others with his mind-crippling disease, Trump derangement syndrome. There is zero evidence for any of that. He got killed by his deeply disturbed son after what the TMZ and New York Post and others are reporting was a terrible family argument. The son, Nick, who's now 32, was a screenwriter who'd battled and talked openly made a film about drug addiction, homelessness, and so on. But apparently, used whatever kind of implement to slit the throats of his parents.
Yeah.
I
hear you. I'm not justifying it.
So I don't think there's any political motivation for this attack whatsoever. But Donald Trump has made it political by inferring very clearly that this happened because Rob Reiner attacked him. And that's that to me.
No, we didn't say that. This is the problem with Morgan. We're going to end it up very soon, but this is the problem with journalism right now because it's all feeling based. It's not written. See, you used to be a journalist. You used to be interview people. They would pull up a piece of paper and they would actually see the words and actually say what the person did. Just because he says it was deranged syndrome, he never said this happened to him because he of deranged syndrome. See, this is the problem with journalism and these platforms now. That's why people are not respecting people like Morgan anymore, because they're doing this type of interviewing. And they're putting out slander that's not correct and based in facts. They're going off of feelings. I feel like Trump wanted this to happen, and it didn't. It's very sad in this world, but that's why we're here and we're fearless. Smash the like. Tap the next video on the screen, subscribe and hit the bell. The CashApp FearlessDisease is always in the description if you are rocking with the movement. See you on the next one. Stay rich and stay fearless.